Hello everyone, this is Dr. Nisreen Husain, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department, Zoology from Government Girls College, Durg. Today's topic of my lecture is the adrenal glands.
Adrenal glands are one of the important types of endocrine glands, as all of us know. They are situated above the kidneys, are paired and triangular structures, as we can see in this colorful picture. They are yellowish brownish glands, one on each kidney, hence are known as suprarenals. Their size is 5 by 3 by 1 centimeters and they are 8 to 10 grams in weight. Their position occupied by the gland, size and shape vary from species to species. Out of two adrenals, right is smaller than the left. They are enclosed in capsule made up of connective tissue. Each consists of two parts, outer and inner. Outer is yellowish called cortex and inner is brownish called medulla. These two parts are structurally, functionally and embryologically different. Development of adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex is mesodermal in origin, derived from the mesodermal coelomic epithelium of mesonephros. During embryonic development, an inner layer is formed from groups of eosinophilic cells. It is also called provisional cortex. After birth, it is degenerated and replaced by permanent cortex. Now, development of adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla is ectodermal in origin, derived from the tissues from which the sympathetic ganglia develop. Other cells participating are pheochromocytes or chromaffin cells. During development, the primitive medullary tissue lies close to the posterior root ganglion. Later on, migrates and is covered by the cortical tissue. Now about the histology of adrenal cortex. It is made up of polyhedral parenchyma cells forming two cell-thick cords running radially from the cortex to medulla. The cells have nuclei, mitochondria, Golgi bodies and refractile lipid granules. It is divided into three zones: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis. Zona glomerulus, it is the outermost layer. The cells are very small and irregular. Long axis is present parallel to the surface. Now zona fasciculata, it is the middle layer, widest part of the gland. Cells are large, arranged in radiating columns. Cells also contain pigmented granules. Third is zona reticularis. It is the innermost layer with network of rows of cells. Cells contain lipid droplets and they are with wide blood spaces. Now about the histology of adrenal medulla. It is made up of polyhedral granular cells that are arranged in irregular groups and also surrounded by blood sinuses. Cells contain large number of granules which are stained yellowish brown and are known as chromaffin granules. During active secretory phase, the granules disappear and these granules, they are enclosed in a smooth surfaced membrane. Hormones of adrenal cortex and functions. There are two important hormones of adrenal cortex, glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. First, glucocorticoids. They are dehydrocorticosterone cortisone. They influence carbohydrate metabolism, causing gluconeogenesis from protein in liver. They also increase glycogen in liver and muscles. Muscular fatigue is delayed because of them, and also retention of sodium chloride and water takes place. There is increased potassium excretion, and these hormones are anti-inflammatory in nature. Another hormone is mineralocorticoids, that is deoxycorticosterone. They influence mineral and water balance and help in sodium chloride and water retention. They are also responsible for decreased intracellular potassium and increased sodium levels. The decreased condition of potassium is known as hypokalemia, and the increased levels of sodium is known as hyperatremia. They control blood pressure, also the permeability of the capillaries and cell walls. These hormones also stimulate the growth in young animals. In general, functions of adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex actually controls mineral and carbohydrate metabolism. It is also responsible for the control of water balance and permeability of capillaries. Kidney functions and blood pressure too is controlled by adrenal cortex. Fat and protein metabolism is also regulated. Development of sex glands and secondary sexual characters is also controlled by adrenal cortex. Skeletal and body growth is affected in general, and also it provides resistance against stress. Control of secretions of adrenal cortex. This occurs in three ways: hormonal control, nervous control, and inorganic control. Hormonal control occurs through ACTH of adenohypophysis of pituitary and adrenaline from adrenal medulla. About the nervous control. Actually, the sympathetic stimulation, it increases adrenaline, which in turn stimulates anterior pituitary to secrete its hormones. These hormones accelerate the secretion from adrenal cortex. Third is inorganic control. It is done by increase in potassium ions in blood, which stimulate the secretion of adrenal medulla. Hormones of adrenal medulla and functions. They are adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, and adrenaline. This is the first type. These are the sympathomimetic hormones having influence as sympathetic stimulations. They act directly on glands and muscles and increase the rate, force, and output of blood from heart. Adrenaline is a vasodilator and it increases the diameter of blood vessels. It also affects the kidney by reducing the urine volume as renal circulation is depressed. Basic metabolism rate, blood sugar, and hemoglobin. These are increased due to the hormones of adrenal medulla. The other hormone of adrenal medulla is norepinephrine or adrenal. These hormones are responsible for the constriction of blood vessels, and they have some effects like that of adrenaline, but difference is quantitative. Signs and symptoms of adrenal fatigue syndrome. That is, when adrenal glands do not function properly or the hormones are not sufficiently secreted, there are many symptoms that arise. Then there are the conditions of loss of memory, that is inability to remember things. Also, there is hair loss, skin becomes dry and thin, and palpitation increases. There also occurs the pain in the upper back and neck, with tendency to gain weight, especially around the waist. Other symptoms are high frequency of getting the flu, headache and dizziness, and also upset of bowels. The long-term symptoms also arise, such as lack of energy, reduced sex drive, and depression. Thank you. Thanks to all the authors, Gaitan, Shastri and Goyal, and S.P. Mishra, the authors of the books that I have referred, and the images are only for reference purpose, picked up from google.com and Pinterest.